Hey guys, welcome back to Young Americans Abroad, your best place for weekly content on young American soccer players playing overseas. My name is Austin Van Trent.
And my name is Patrick Ferry.
And welcome to our show. Well, guys, we're back again, and what a big day we had today, Pat.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy, Austin. We have a lot to cover and talk about, and all exciting for our Yas here.
Yeah, it was great seeing the roster release today. It was a heavy roster, so yeah, definitely exciting games to look forward to next week, Pat. And yeah, like you said, we had some good performances this weekend, some unfortunate injuries and news like that. But we want to get to today one key USMNT player injury update. So stay tuned for that.
An American making the most of his debut in the Eredivisie.
And finally, another Ya that you guys need to follow and we're eager to discuss with you. So all that and more today in this episode.
All right, all you Ya viewers, we're heading over to the Premier League and starting with Christian Pulisic. So we'll kind of cover last Wednesday, midweek in the Champions League. He did come on in the 71st minute, which is great to see. And he scored the 90th in Chelsea's 4-0 win against Krasnodar. So, yeah, again, just to kind of cover that game quickly, it was nice to see him kind of get back from the injury beforehand, Austin, where, he did have that game in the 81-minute start against Man United in a 0-0 draw. But, yeah, I mean, he looked really energetic and lively when he came on, sparked some, attacking influence into the game, and Chelsea really took control at the end. And he had just found himself in the box there. Tammy Abraham, a nice assist, and was able to kind of shoot it right through the goalkeeper's legs. So it was nice to see that. And then recently, this past weekend, I think it was the Burnley game, he was injured during warm-ups, which is really unfortunate, Austin, where had something with the hamstring, and we were all really concerned. And it seems like right now, with the scans, it's nothing. I don't think there's any tears or anything severe. So I think he's back training, right?
Yeah, supposedly the update was, like you said, Pat, nothing major. And yeah, is back training, not available for the midweek Champions League game, but could be available, I guess, for their weekend game and maybe the USMNT camp. So that was some positive news, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he had some positive news just because we're starting to see it a little bit more. Pulisic had a pretty solid season last year. Marred at the end with that injury, pretty bad injury. But now there's some people kind of chirping Austin on Twitter and social media, and comparing him to some of the more fragile, really promising, strong players there. In other top leagues. And again, I'm not trying to sound, I guess, negative or anything, but just kind of concerned, for the longevity now. We've seen it a few times. And again, it's, happy to see it's nothing severe, but I am just kind of worried. It's already kind of November here, and, we really want to see him hit the ground running, start multiple games here, and start really helping contribute to this newly enhanced Chelsea team here.
Yeah, and it's not just like this past season and, like you said, after the FA Cup final, this has been kind of a recurring thing for the past 3 or 4 years, even at Dortmund. So, yeah, it's definitely something to be concerned about injury-wise for Christian Pulisic. And a hamstring, Pat's not an injury that kind of goes away. That seems to be the injury that Josie Altidore keeps re-injuring and forced them to bow out of the 2014 World Cup. So hopefully that's not something that Christian also experiences in his future.
Yeah, let's hope not. I'm not sure. Again, I'm no, I guess, athletic trainer or, from the medical side, if there's anything else he can do differently, or a huge burst with the hamstring and the part of his game with his speed, Austin. And just, even when you saw that, goal at the end of the Champions League game there, and what we've come to see, just that change of gear, that shifting of gear, and kind of high pressing and having that high energy throughout the game, can provide some wear and tears to the hamstring in that area. So I'm not sure what the solution is, but let's just hope these injuries he can kind of put behind him there.
Yeah, that's all we can do in our position. So yeah, do you have anything else to add for Christian?
Yeah, I don't think I have too much else to add there. I'm just glad to see this isn't major where we'll see him out for a month or so. It does seem like obviously the Rene game he won't be available here, but yeah, maybe we'll see him shortly before we know it.
Yeah, and even with the red, white, and blue, I think we both were saying off camera that if this injury, does force him to miss the weekend game, maybe, it might be best for him to miss those international games too. It would be tough to see him pick up an injury in a friendly. But
oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we still kind of want to see him with these players that get called up, because it'll be maybe only the second time we'll see Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, and him all together, and now add in Gio Reyna, Sergino Dest, several other players that we're all excited about. So definitely could be quite the November camp, Pat.
Yeah, it certainly could be quite the November camp, Austin, where Christian, even if he doesn't play, able to just be around the camp there and influence and kind of meet some of these other guys coming onto the scene and just kind of be there, during training and the various sessions and things like that, I think will be really beneficial in the long run.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, even if he's part, they're at the camp and part of it, but just not on the field. Yeah, that might be another good alternative too. So with that being said, we'll move on to another player that's in that camp, and that would be Gio Reyna. So Gio, Pat, started and played 84 minutes midweek in Dortmund's UCL game against Zenit. So that was a 2-0 win. So yeah, Gio in this game, Dortmund as a whole struggled to really leave their mark, I would say, throughout most of the game, and were able to really pull out a 2-0 win later on. So yeah, it was really kind of, I guess I would use the word frustrating game for Gio and Dortmund. They really couldn't get too many things together, too many chances on goal, and it was a very almost boring game to watch. But Gio, at the end of the day, put in a solid performance. Again, he didn't really contribute to anything that Dortmund did on the day, but it was still, a professional performance in my opinion. And then looking ahead at the weekend game, so Dortmund played Arminia Bielefeld, a team that just got promoted from the 2 Bundesliga. And is one of the lesser teams in the Bundesliga. So I thought it was interesting. He started this game on the bench because Dortmund kind of rotated their guys a little bit. So I thought that was cool to see that Gio was kind of one of those starters that got left out of the game to start. Dortmund were able to win this game 2-0 with Gio coming on for the final 15 minutes. Kind of the same story as that game against Zenit. He came on, didn't really get involved too much in anything that Dortmund did, kind of just helped them see out the game and, get the win. So all in all, I thought it was a pretty quiet week from him, but that's not a bad thing at all. Getting more minutes under his belt before his birthday, which I think is this month, if I'm not mistaken. And, before he turns 18, he's still a 17-year-old. I think that's really, really good for him. And, I guess I should say too, now I'm thinking about it, because it's been a little while now, Pat, that Zenit start was actually a record-breaking start. That was the first, well, actually, how should I put it, the youngest start by a USMNT player in history. So, that's definitely something we should definitely mention in this episode. So yeah,
awesome.
That was good. And
yeah. I was gonna just highlight there, Austin, like you just mentioned, it's an awesome accomplishment. And personally, when you're talking about obviously maybe a quieter week, I'm not too concerned. In my opinion, like you just kind of mentioned for the same reasons where, obviously you're not going to have those stat lining numbers and impact every game there. But is that something that you're kind of concerned with? Do you think he's not necessarily getting, losing, I guess, coming on at the end of the games there maybe and having a hard time getting into the game? Is that something to be concerned of, or is that shouldn't even be a worry here?
Not specifically. Like, I don't think that's something akin to Gio Reyna that we should be concerned about. I think it is something that Dortmund should be worried about, because it seems like kind of what we've seen from the past with Dortmund. A lot of the times they'll just in these games where it feels like they're banging their head against the wall, and the same tactics that they use in the first part of the game they'll just stick with for the whole game, and nothing will change, and they'll lose these games. Like the Lazio game is a perfect example. Lazio took advantage of a lot of their flaws, Dortmund, and Dortmund really didn't change anything to kind of come back and win the game. They kind of just played the same way they always play, and ended up conceding more goals. So yeah, I think Gio's fine. Like you said, Pat, there's games where he's going to do some things and help the team out. And then there's games where, he's not going to be the focal point, just because Dortmund have a lot of really good players. So he doesn't always need to, he's still not that key player for Dortmund yet, like a Marco Reus or Erling Haaland or
Right.
Joe. Obviously that's the hope one day, but he's still 17. So I'm not too concerned. And then before we move on, just like Pulisic, Gio was called up to this November camp. So we're looking at filming an episode related to that camp, right, Pat, for before those friendlies. So we'll save all the details, but it's worth mentioning. And, it's just interesting, Pat. This is his first USMNT call up. So just, we're both really excited to see him get into a camp with some of these other players.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned that too, and to just think about, I guess, how crazy this year has been, 2020, where it seems like we've been talking, at least on this show, well now, I guess, past the season before. Gio's kind of like a regular Yah here, and a lot of those other Yahs that we mentioned, are typically part of the camps and friendlies and the past national team setups, and it's kind of funny. It does feel like he's already kind of been there and has made his mark. But yeah, this is really his first time coming in. So I think we're all really excited to see what he can do and add just a different dimension and element to the team moving forward there in the offense.
Yeah, for sure. He definitely provides something different than any of the other players. So and he's very confident at a young age. So I think it'll be interesting to see how he molds with 21-year-old Tyler Adams, 21-year-old Weston McKennie, 22, or I guess he's 22 now, 22-year-old Christian Pulisic. So, I think it'll be interesting. I'm really excited to see that chemistry start. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know it's been kind of interesting too, and not to bring up in the past there with the youth, U.S. setup there, but I thought I saw in the past maybe Reyna again very confident and kind of back then too. I can't recall the specific tournaments there, but he was kind of frustrated, and it'll be interesting to kind of see him playing with these high caliber players and playing at a level here at the senior team like Dortmund, where how he integrates and how he is around the guys in the locker room and in trainings, and even kind of again, he almost reminds me of somebody with his high level passing, his strength, all the skills he's developed, almost similar to a 25-year-old in a 17-year-old's body. So it's kind of intriguing. He's definitely more mature than a lot of your other under 20 players, especially with the US setup. So yeah, I'm really excited, Austin. Right there with you.
Yeah, that's a great thing to bring up, and we'll have to see. He's one of many we're excited to see in this camp. So I think we can move on now to another player that finally made his return. I guess not from an injury, but his return to the field. And who would that be?
Yeah, that's right, Austin. And so that is our boy here, Weston McKennie, over with in Serie A. So he actually wanted to talk about, kind of go back here in the timeline last Wednesday in the Champions League game against Barcelona, where he saw, he met, Sergino there. So it's kind of cool to kind of see them talk on Twitter and see some of the, quotes from articles where, Weston's like, well, we'll see you in the Champions League, bro. So
They got a pick too, right? A quick pick.
Yeah, exactly. It was awesome, Austin. So just to kind of recap that too, for McKennie, I believe he came on for Kulusevski there. I think it was in the 75th minute. So not too much, impact, he could make here. But just nice to see him get on the field. They did lose 2-0 there. But again, most recently, we kind of saw McKennie bounce back to the starting lineup, which is great to see. There's been a lot of, shuffling in the midfield there. Pirlo's been tinkering around and has a lot of options there too. And, I know we can kind of talk about it later, but maybe more coming in, who knows. But again, most recently on Sunday, he started, and I think he played 62 minutes, I believe, around there, in a 4-1 win against the team that knocked off Andrija Spezia. So, it was nice to see him kind of start off awesome, get a nice assist, really unselfish assist to set Morata there, where he made a great run, darting from the midfield, kind of going box to box and making that extra run to find some space, and was found open and could have, had that one-on-one with the keeper, but slided across to his left, across, inside the 6-yard box, I think, or close to it. Right to Morata there, who kind of, had that wide open net. So it was really nice to see. And he had some other great plays, Austin, where he was involved, moving forward and kind of pushed up a little bit more. So you had your possession-based midfielders, but, he, had some great runs and roaming around, getting more up and making those bursting runs in the final third of the pitch. So I think that was great to see. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it was interesting too, because he started on the right as kind of a right midfielder, and definitely tucked inside more often than not, and kind of formed that third midfielder partnership with, who is it, Artur and Bentancur.
Yeah,
so,
I believe.
Yeah, and it was interesting to see that, and like you said, Pat, he did get a lot forward a lot more in this game than some of the other games we've seen for Juventus, where he was basically the number 6 in the team. So it's interesting to see how, like you said, again, Pirlo's tinkering with this team, and we heard a lot about Weston being that defensive playmaker for them and the guy whose only job is to win back the ball. But it seems like Pirlo is either has seen what McKennie's done in the past at Schalke, where he got forward a lot, or he's just seen in practice and trainings and things like that, has seen the offensive qualities that Weston possesses. So yeah, I think it's just interesting to see that position for him and that role in Pirlo's team. It wasn't what I was expecting based on those first few appearances. So yeah.
Yeah, neither was I, and I know obviously Ramsey replaced him there in that game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of interesting because at the beginning there, Ramsey was playing a little bit out of position that we've come to see there, and obviously McKennie was starting there early on in the season, and he's had a lot of different formations here. Artur being kind of more left out. I know he mentioned the past maybe adjusting to the Serie A football, but
Okay.
yeah, obviously with Bentancur there, and then like I mentioned, even the player is slipping my mind here, but the player that's rumored maybe even to come in to bolster the midfield, Austin. I think you might have that.
Yeah, that's Manuel Locatelli, so former Milan player and I think current Sassuolo player, right,
Yeah.
Pat? So he's more of a defensive midfielder as well, and it sounds like, like they might bring him in the winter and be kind of that second defensive-minded player. But like we just said, Weston played in a very offensive role, a role that Aaron Ramsey played in those first few games, where he was almost reversed on the left and out wide at times, but then coming into the midfield. So yeah, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing because there is still minutes in that midfield for other players. But
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, there certainly are still minutes, like you just mentioned, and yeah, it's just a weird scenario, and just a different time for Pirlo's team because Milan's looking great. They're actually third right now in Serie A,
yeah,
having a little bit of struggles with the Champions League, but I'm sure they'll kind of rebound. But it's, again, like we mentioned at the beginning when Weston came in, it's kind of a crucial time, for Juventus there. Um, it just where they are, and again, they're just interesting. From the defenders to the attackers, obviously a lot of it solely relying on Ronaldo, but it just seems like there's something kind of needed to extra spark, whether it's the midfield. And again, I think Weston's doing a great job, but you even saw it with this game. He's really outperforming some of those other guys. They're sitting along with
yeah,
him. It seems like some people, or I guess some of the players, are struggling to kind of understand the identity or the kind of movement of what Pirlo wants. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of adjust that throughout the season because that Juventus's board won't put up with third place.
yeah, for sure. That's definitely not wouldn't fly with them. And yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that too. I don't want to harp too long on this, but yeah, Arthur had his own his own mistakes throughout this game. Bentancur also lost the ball at times, and McKennie did as well. But the commentators were saying as well that McKennie was the best midfielder on the day, which I thought was good to hear. And I thought that too, but I feel like I'm biased as we all kind of are
Same.
with our so, yeah, it's just interesting to see that. And those two players were the players that Pirlo left out early on and Weston kind of replaced. And now with Weston out with COVID and not such a great game against Roma, they kind of came back in and were the preferred starters. So it's interesting to see them struggle as well, and makes me almost feel better about Weston's poor game against Roma. It's only one game, so let's not get ahead of ourselves and think that the world's coming to a halt. But yeah, it's definitely something to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point. Also, like you mentioned, where Weston had that struggle against Roma, but nice to see him kind of bounce back here. You have Ronaldo back from the coronavirus. That is you can see the impact it's making. With all clubs around the world. So I think Juventus is really finding that I think they're about to find their groove. I think they're very close. To kind of figuring things out. You could see much more positive play with this game, and we'll kind of see how it goes moving forward. Because like you said, Weston seems to be kind of again just a flexible player that we saw from Schalke going up, where he can kind of be slotted in, and he's athletic and talented and skilled enough to move around in the midfield in different spots. So I think Pirlo really likes him. I personally believe his work ethic and just the way he probably conducts and handles himself with the team on the pitch and training, and I still think there's nothing but success ahead for Weston here.
Yeah, I agree, and it'll be fun to watch too. So now moving on, we have Josh Sargent. So Josh started and played all 90 minutes and also scored Bremen's lone goal in their 1-1 draw with Frankfurt. And Pat, we finally got to see on the score sheet for Bremen. That's something we've been wanting for a little while now. So it was a nice goal too. It came off a breakaway and a nice near post shot. He almost double clutched it looked like, and it went in. So that was great to see. Overall, I thought in this game, Josh provided, a lot of active play in the final third. Some great runs into the box, some great hold-up play leading to some more chances and opportunities down the field. So it was really a game that kind of combined what he's done well the past season and a half or so, maybe full season from the spring now to the fall, with good hold-up play, some drawing some fouls, some good dribbling to get by players and get out of tight situations. And now you're seeing, again, some of those runs into the box pay off for him in this game. And just it seemed like a more complete striker's performance from him. than we've seen in past games, where he's been pushed to a left back position and left wing position. So yeah, I just liked what I saw in this game, and hoping he can just continue to build on it this coming week.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Austin. I think this will be great for his confidence, and great for the November camp here. Just to go in with the goal there on a high, and what's also great too, and what's funny, we were talking off camera, is that Bremen does have its problems, and he has very limited opportunities, but so far it's early, but they're undefeated, Austin, you could say. A lot of draws, but they're undefeated.
Yeah, what is their record at the moment? Do you have that on with you or something?
I think it was 5 draws, maybe 1 or 2 wins and no losses. I think it was about 5 draws though, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that when you said it, because I know they've done well this year. They're sitting in 9th in the Bundesliga at the moment, but I didn't really take much stock in their record. And yeah, when you said that, I was like, oh my goodness, Bremen undefeated. Wow. So yeah. I mean, that's good for them. It looks like they'll stay up again this season. I know the season has a long way to go, but yeah, if Josh can score for them, I guess, then they can kind of climb that table and stay undefeated. So yeah, something to watch, something to definitely keep an eye on. And then Pat, this is another player, like I guess Weston was too. We didn't really say it for him, but he was called up to this USMNT camp and will be basically the main striker of the group, because you got Nick Giacchini, who we've talked about a lot on this show, and we like, and then you got Sebastian Soto, who's killing it right now in the Eredivisie. But yeah, it looks like he's going to get a chance to be in a camp without kind of another striker that Greg thinks is at least on par with him, if not better, like Josh Zardes or Josie Altidore. So yeah, big opportunity for him coming up.
Yeah, I think this is massive, really crucial. And again, just the I guess icing or the cherry on top there, I should say, with the goal there for Werder, I think will really be a great confidence booster going in, and maybe we'll kind of see and hope for kind of where Bobby Wood had the production there, with the national team. But again, I think like you mentioned, which is really important, where he's kind of almost the lead here. The strikers or the forwards here, where you don't have Zardes or Altidore or some of those other guys, but this is his time to really take control and maybe even kind of step up more vocal as a leader there in the camp, and really lead by example as well. I think I really believe you don't have to be the loudest person on the pitch, but Sargent can really show with his work ethic, his runs, all that he's developed, and lead by example on the pitch. So I think this is a really important month for him.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I think, he's got to just come into this camp. I don't want to put too much stock in this camp because there's so many factors swirling around it. But if he can, lead the line and score a goal or two in both these games, or, a goal or two in the 2 games together, then I think we'll feel a lot more comfortable with him going into World Cup qualifying, and I think it'll just be good for the group to feel good about that striker position. Like all the other players have confidence in Josh. So yeah, now I guess we want to move on to another player we're super excited about.
Yeah, another one, Austin. Keep them coming. But we're heading over to Barcelona. Starting to get used to saying that now. With Sergino Dest here. So yeah, just to kind of highlight, he was coming off a few weeks back, the El Clasico start. Unfortunate result against Real Madrid, but it was nice to see him, make some history there. But this past weekend, he came on in the 69th minute for Jordi Alba there, in a 1-1 draw against Alaves there. So again, Barca isn't having the easiest time here. I think they're 11th or 12th in La Liga right now. It's very early, but again, Dest came on and looked really effective. Had some great runs and combos down the left flank there, and even combined there, Messi had a nice pass to him where he had a pretty good goal scoring opportunity there to make an impact. So I believe, Austin, as we're filming it, it's his birthday here.
Oh yeah, that is true. Yeah, so now he's what, 20? Is that right? I think he's 20.
Yeah, I believe so. So yeah, he's finally out of the teens here. But yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's still impressive to say. Where we have a 19 or just turned 20-year-old here, making impact for Barcelona. Where again, didn't necessarily start now that Jordi Alba's back, and then you have Sergio Roberto on the other side as a fullback, but. I certainly think there's a lot of room for him, Austin, and a lot of games and opportunity to displace one of them, being so versatile, playing on either side. I wouldn't be surprised. I guess my strong optimistic prediction is he might be able to displace one before the end of the season here.
Yeah, and it sounds like Ronald Koeman really likes him as a player. We heard about him when he was the Netherlands coach trying to woo him to the Dutch side, but now it seems
Right.
like as a club manager, he's, really, really interested in him and his development. So I think that really bodes well for him going forward. I think, yeah, the sky's the limit at Barcelona, which is crazy to say. And yeah, I like it.
I like it too, Austin. And again, another player that's kind of joining the awesome caravan of Yaz in November. So, a lot of exciting opportunity there to see him kind of connect and see what he's taken from Barcelona in this short time, and how all these players, I guess in general, have developed so much during 2020, and see them come together, especially Dest, and how he can make an impact and terrorize the other. The Welsh, and then potentially, I believe you mentioned maybe Panamanian back lines there.
Yeah, and he's coming with another Barcelona player too, and Konrad. So it's
That's
interesting
right.
to develop that chemistry and friendship on and off the pitch. So yeah, definitely one to watch. So now we want to move on to a debut, Pat. We had Richy Ledezma make his PSV debut this week. So Richy came on in the 74th minute for PSV in their 4-0 win over ADO Den Haag, team in the Eredivisie. And in the 84th minute, he actually provided an assist for PSV and their third goal. So, coming in, Pat, making an impact right away, which is always good to see. And in this game, it was a really clean debut from him. Was 16 for 16 of passing. So anytime you can go 100% on the day, I think that bodes well for you and your potential opportunity to go forward and get more game time. So that's really cool. I think this debut really speaks volumes for Richy and his work that he's put in, because he's really been, one of the main prospects for PSV over the past year and a half. He did really well at young Ajax, young PSV last year, and was scoring some goals, providing some assists, just playing well overall. That was a young PSV team that had its moments last year where they struggled and weren't getting results, but he always seemed to be the player that really stood out every game. But the big thing, Pat, and the big reason why he wasn't playing was because PSV's midfield was so stacked. They have a lot of different players like Ryan Thomas, who he provided that assist for, Eric Gutierrez, who's a Mexican player. They already signed Mario Götze this year, who plays pretty much the same position as Richy, and a host of others. So that's really been the main factor that's holding him back from getting these minutes. So I think it's cool to see him finally get his chance, because I think it's long overdue personally. And it's awesome to see him, actually take it and get an assist in his debut. That's a pretty big accomplishment.
Yeah, that's awesome, Austin. And again, congrats to Richy, and I think we'll see more of that moving forward. It's funny, I guess, just before I go into my tangent here, I didn't know Mario Götze was part of PS, so that's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Even more competition. It's crazy. But yeah, Richy, again, like you mentioned, has really kind of put his time in, with young PSV. And, when we've been talking about him on the show in the past, over a year and a half, like you mentioned now, where he came in, hit the ground running, had some, I guess, kind of training and call up to the first team for some training and things like that. But nothing seemed to kind of push through. And he seemed like he was knocking on the door. And we mentioned that a few times. It's nice to see him kind of kick it open, I guess you could say. and make that impact. Again, he has a lot to learn, and a really intelligent player, kind of silky smooth, which will be kind of great to see moving forward, and how he adds that to the first team. So I think he's just a young player that's destined for big things, like you mentioned. One of their prospects that they're really they didn't give up on, and really saw something, and really keen to develop.
Yeah, and like you said, he was in a lot of first team training sessions, went on several preseason tours with them, I think, or even midseason tours. I think the midseason tour last year and the preseason one this year, he was both on. So yeah, it's been a long time coming, and it sounds like he's now fully with the first team. It doesn't sound like he's going to play with young PSV anymore. So I guess we'll have to watch that space and see if that's actually accurate. And we also heard, this is just a rumor, that he's going to be involved in their Europa League game. That's the thought, at least. We'll see if it actually happens, whether that's a start or coming off the bench. But it sounds like, he's, like you said, destined for big things, and has finally, Pat, kicked that door open at PSV. So, yeah, exciting.
Yeah, really exciting, Austin. And, I guess there's, some other exciting news, with Ledezma here. Seems like a really, again, good end to 2020 for him, I think, in terms of the U.S. here.
Yeah, was also called up to that camp. I guess we should mention that too. Was also one of the players, and it looks like he may be, one of the players that could be in contention to start one of these friendlies. We'll have to see the health of some of the players and where Greg sees certain players fit in. But it looks like he's in a good spot, especially with USMNT. So exciting stuff. And I guess we have another player, right, Pat, that we want to talk about for the first time on this show, and one that we've been monitoring, but we didn't really think he was going to be a part of our group, and now we can happily say we're wrong. So who would that be, Pat?
That's right, and I couldn't be happier to be wrong here with you, Austin. That is Yunus Musah. So again, there's been a lot of recent activity and development. Again, a player that's had a lot of a pretty fast rise here, but you've seeing it all over your Twitter timelines or whatnot, about his great performance there, in the past weekend. But that, again, just to kind of highlight the Valencia midfielder, Austin, Yunus, the 17-year-old, accepted that call up. So great job for Greg Berhalter and the staff there, monitoring for a year and a half now and making that connection with the family. And again, he's a player that was born in New York City, I believe. He had some Ghanaian parents there, so he had some multiple opportunities to play at different countries here. And grew up in Italy, and then kind of moved over to England, and had some a stint there with the Arsenal Academy. We can kind of dive into that a little bit more, and eventually found himself over with Valencia's B team in the last year, and then pretty meteoric rise, to the first team here with this season, a breakout season here, where he actually just capped off recently, with a goal here. Really, really fast technical player, and is only 17. So I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, you said so much info on him. I think he's such a exciting prospect. You mentioned fast and technical. That was basically the two things that stood out to me right from watching as many highlights as I could find of him. So he can blow by people, and like you saw in that goal against Getafe last weekend, that was something he used to his advantage there. And then there was just multiple clips of him with the ball just kind of sticking to his feet, whether off a pass or, just dribbling through traffic. It's exciting. You feel like he's one of those players in that Pulisic, McKennie, Adams, Reyna level of prospect. And the fact that we can snipe him away, even if it's just for one camp, we'll see what the long-term future holds. But even, that we could do that, that's exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty unreal to think about, and just in terms of where we've gone, and how Berhalter has made that extra effort, with Yunus and then multiple, other players, with Jens Gehust and some other players there, on the horizon. But, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right, Balogun,
Johnny
exactly.
Chris.
So
Yeah.
yeah, there's plenty of names there, Austin, and Yunus again, like you mentioned, must be so much fun to kind of see again a young player, but just to seems very wise beyond his years. Again, similar to Reyna there in terms of maturity and making such an impact here with Valencia, and not like a lower level, typically lower level club here in La Liga. They have had some Champions League success in the past here, Europa League, and finishing in that top half, top six generally, you could say, maybe not recently, but for La Liga. So it's a strong team with a lot of history, and it's great to see Yunus, make an impact and choose us initially for this camp. But we'll have to see what the long-term future holds, like you said.
Yeah, so what do you think that long-term future is for Yunus? I know no one knows, and he probably doesn't even know himself. But what do you think? What are his options right now, and why does I guess the USMNT make the most sense for him?
That's a really good question. I'm not even sure I can have a definitive answer there for you, Austin. But I will say, just with the recent, I guess, meteoric rise with all these players in the U.S. movement, and it's been some pretty big moves. We've been talking about, Pulisic starting the trend, Sargent going over there, and McKennie now with that, Juventus. Adams, I could go on, and there just seems to be a very big movement, and people are paying attention, I think, really respecting, the American kind of movement over there. Even with the, other players that are dual nationals, and we've seen, De La Fuente well over in Spain for a long time, and Nick Giacchini there over in France. So I think there's a really, important movement, impressive movement where, maybe a young player here is saying, hey, I can get, national team experience with a really, up and coming on the rise. This could be a almost kind of the pre-Belgium era, where they hit that golden era with De Bruyne and Hazard. And you kind of see that coming a few World Cups before. So I think maybe he can kind of see the potential there. What do you think?
Yeah, that's really interesting, and I'm happy you said that because yeah, the moves our players made this summer. Like you said, we had McKennie go to Juventus. We had Dest go to Barca. We had Chris Richards make his Bayern debut. We had Konrad de la Fuente look like he's potentially in line for a Barcelona debut. Yeah, it's just a lot of big time clubs being mentioned with our players now, which I think is a big change from where we were not even like a year ago, 2 years ago. It's such a big change. And then I think from his perspective too, I want to dive into, I guess, a little bit of those other nations. And when you think about England, the depth chart is so long for them. They've got, Raheem Sterling, Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, you got Mason Greenwood. Like, you got so many different players that Yunus is going to have to compete with. And I'm sure he thinks that, he's in that echelon of players. But like you said, Pat, it almost makes sense to get in to a team that could be, on the level of what Belgium were and are at the moment, and be a playmaker for a team like that. I mean, right now looking at our team, we have Christian Pulisic on the left, and I feel like that right wing spot is still kind of a question mark. At the moment, I think it's either Jordan Morris or Tim Weah, who seems like as good as he is, he can't really consistently get minutes for his club team. So yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for him. So
yeah, I mean, again, I'm glad you mentioned too. I kind of skipped over that, so I'm glad you mentioned, from his perspective, what he, his mindset. So, yeah, again, England is very much stacked, but yeah, I think
yeah.
a lot of people worldwide are seeing the movement of the U.S. soccer, and we'll kind of see how it all comes together with qualifying, and then I think Tony, with Qatar here and beyond. I think we're going to see a lot more respect here, with the U.S. And how we always say at the end of the show. I think that will be coming soon, and Yunus certainly recognizes that. Maybe.
Yeah, and I'm so excited. Like, I can't even hide it to hear that. Yeah, and looking at this, I said to you off camera. I'll briefly mention it now, but looking at him on Transfer Market, Transfer Market's not the most reliable source of information, but they have him ranked as a $5 million player. So when you look at that with our years and see where he falls, he's the 11th most valuable American player. So I think that's pretty cool. If we could get a player of that caliber at 17 years old to even commit to us for the short term, which it is right now, I think that's a win. So good on you, Greg. And yeah, I think with that, Pat, now we'll move over to quick kicks.
All right, guys, I think you know what time it is. It's my favorite time of the show. I know it's Austin's, and I hope it's yours. It's none other than quick kicks.
So you could test Dwayne Miller. It's Altidore over the wall, and that one is in! Josie Altidore from a long way out. The opening goal for the United States.
All right, guys, and to start quick kicks here, we're heading over to the Premier League with Antonee Robinson here with Fulham. And started the match against West Brom and went the full 90 in a 2-0 win. So great job, Anthony.
Yeah, and going over to Portugal, we have Reggie Cannon, who started and played 90 minutes for Boa Vista in their big 3-0 win over Benfica. So good to see, Reggie Cannon helping his team do big things over there in Portugal.
That's a big win, Austin. And heading over to Denmark, with Emmanuel Sabbi against Odense BK there, started the match and played 73 minutes in a 1-0 win and actually scored the goal there, to clinch the win against AC Horsens. So congrats to Emmanuel.
Nice. Yeah, that's nice. He's doing good so far to start the year. So good to see. And moving over to Schalke, we have Nick Taitague and Matthew Hoppe. Taitague started and played 65 minutes and then was replaced by Hoppe, who came on, scored the only goal for Schalke 2 on the day in their 1-1 draw. So good to see, both Americans making an impact over there.
That's awesome. And Schalke America there. And you're heading to Spain here in the Segunda division. Shaq Moore, with Tenerife there, started the match and played the full 90 in a 1-1 draw. So, it's great to kind of see him, getting that starting spot and making a difference there.
Yeah, that's good to see. It's been a while since he's come had consistent minutes, so that's good. And going over to England, we have Hassan Ayari, who scored 2 goals in Sheffield United's U18s 2-0 win. So good to see that for Hassan.
Awesome news. And heading back to Spain here with Barcelona B's team here, and Konrad de la Fuente, started the match, played the full 90. In a 0-0 draw against AE Prat, but great to see him getting minutes there, and then also with the senior team on the bench.
Yeah, and going back to Denmark, we have Haji Wright, who started and played 74 minutes in Sonderjysk's 1-1 draw with whose house, Pat?
Our house. Woo! But yeah, that's awesome, Austin, and. Heading over to Spain again. I keep saying Spain here. Jack Imperato, some great news here. He signed his first pro contract, so congrats to Jack there. But he also, played for the U19 of Villarreal, subbed on in the 77th minute in a 2-0 win. Yeah,
that was great to see. So glad to see another American signing a pro contract, and in Spain, no doubt too, which we're having a little crop of them come up now. So. Yeah, and now we have Chris Richards, who started and played all 90 minutes in Bayern 2's 4-2 win over the weekend. So good to see him getting consistent minutes with them again.
That's great, Austin. And center back here over with Austria Vine, Erik Palmer-Brown started the match, played the full 90. Unfortunately, they did lose 2-1, but he had a really great game statistically. 43 of 44 passes complete and 7 long balls. So pretty accurate there from EPB.
Nice. Yeah, he's had a good start to the season, and it seems like Austria is, kind of a good place for him at the moment. And another center back, Pat, we have Matt Miazga, who started and played all 90 minutes for Anderlecht in their 1-0 win. So good to see another American center back getting consistent time.
Awesome, Austin. And again, going to with Luca de la Torre there in the Eredivisie for Heracles, started the match and played 87 minutes in a 4-1 win against Utrecht. So, great to see Luca finding a home there and getting minutes, which is really important.
Yep. And moving over to Italy, we have Andrija Novakovich, who started and played 69 minutes in Frosinone's 1-0 win. So, that was one player that we both kind of felt a little sorry for with this roster and, getting left off. But stay with it, Andrija. We see what you're doing there. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's our boy. We believe in him. He'll get back there. But heading over to England League One there with Indiana Vassilev and Burton Albion, he started the match and played 57 minutes in a 2-1 loss.
Okay, and today's Young Ya, we have only one today, and that's Alex Borto. So Alex is a 16-year-old goalkeeper currently playing at Fulham's U18s. And he recently made the move to England from New Jersey and a school that was somewhat close to us where we grew up, and that's Gil St. Bernard. So congrats to Alex, and good luck over there in England. So that's all for episode today, guys. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel down below.
And don't forget to check out our awesome social media channels. Appreciate Austin's hard work pushing us past that 10K mark for Instagram. We got Twitter. We have much more. So stay tuned with all this exciting news going on.
That's true. And we're also on several podcasting platforms. And with some of the glitches, Pat, with our video today, it might be best to watch this episode or listen to this episode. So that's Apple Podcasts. Google Podcasts, and Spotify. So make sure to give us a listen there. Leave us a review. We always want to hear your feedback. And
I think Austin, we might have some exciting news here in the future. Along with all the excitement here with the roster release, and we have some things in the work here from our end.
Yeah, so guys, make sure you stay tuned. We're going to be doing a giveaway of a USMNT jersey, so stay tuned for that. We'll probably post that on both Twitter and Instagram. So just stay tuned. We'll give one out to a lucky fan, and it's exciting. It's all all these recent performances and just the goodwill I feel like we're getting for the USMNT is culminating to that camp for November. So I'm excited to, see that.
Yeah, me as well, Austin. I think, we'll see a lot of young players here, rise to the occasion and see kind of the movement that the U.S. National team has, and got to give props to Greg right now with the recruitment side of things. And, we'll see it kind of come together with tactics and on the pitch there one day.
That's true, because it all leads up to one day us winning the World Cup.